Hello everyone, this is PNG Tonight. I'm John Higgins. Thank you for joining us in this edition. The Waigani Communique on the future perspectives of the ACP Group, adopted by the 8th Summit of Heads of State and Government in Port Moresby. Also, road builder Kenneth Korokali of Lome Construction wants local companies to be given a fair go in awarding of contracts, and training health providers in Kairuku, Hiri and Gulf provinces. The end of the 8th ACP Summit in Port Moresby today, its theme, repositioning the ACP Group to respond to the challenges of sustainable development. From that, an 11-point Waigani communique. Firstly, it reiterated the establishment of ACP and the UN chapter reaffirming universal human rights. Secondly, reaffirms the vision to improve living standards of people through good governance, peace and security, justice and entrepreneurship. 3, acknowledge the effective contribution by the European Union, and also noted the strong, inclusive and equitable economic and social growth despite many challenges faced by the ACP Group, and encouraged closer cooperation among similar points, resolved to identify common interests with the EU partners and to ensure that the ACP-EU cooperation remains comprehensive. The 9th ACP Summit is to be decided by the ACP Council of Ministers in consultation with the other relevant groups. And on PNG, our leadership in driving Sustainable Development Goals agenda has been hailed by the UNDP. The UN Resident Coordinator Roy Trivedi commended the PNG government for utilizing high-level platforms such as ACP to accelerate human development. Gabriel Bego reports.
I've got a few stories. One of the story that I thought came out from this meeting was the issue brought up by the Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe for ACP countries to move away from aid mentality, because we've got the resources there and we can use that as a leverage to bring our economy up to par to the rest of the world.
Leaders of the African, Caribbean and the Pacific Group have conversed in Port Moresby for this high-level summit, one that showcased Papua New Guinea's ability. The 3-day event centered on the focus of ACP way forward under the theme repositioning the ACP Group to respond to the challenges of sustainable development. Discussions from this summit have been successful with the outcome of 2 important documents, the Waigani Communique and the Port Moresby Declaration. The heads of state and government reiterated their commitment to the objectives and principles enshrined in the Georgetown Agreement establishing the African, Caribbean and Pacific Group of States and the United Nations Charter reaffirming Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Among the discussions have been the emphasis on sustainable development, one that United Nations is focused on. The UN Resident Coordinator says it is encouraging to see that the government of PNG is stepping up efforts and through such international forums emphasizing the need to achieve SDGs.
We had last week the Prime Minister going to the G7 outreach meeting and making a very strong commitment about Papua New Guinea's role in the world and particularly in driving the Sustainable Development Goals. And then of course this week, right now, we have got this Africa, Caribbean, Pacific group that has visited, and yesterday again the Prime Minister restated and re-emphasized the importance of making progress on the Sustainable Development Goals, and that he wants to make sure that Papua New Guinea is leading that process. I think that is fantastic. It is something that we know that the whole world is looking to try and develop further, and I think for Papua New Guinea and our Prime Minister to make that very strong commitment is fantastic leadership on a global stage. What we need to do, of course, now is to make sure that all of the things that we all want to aspire to achieve really lead to practical actions, real changes in people's lives.
The summit resolved to jointly identify issues of common interest with European Union partners to ensure that the ACP-EU cooperation framework comprehensively takes into account the implementation of SDGs, promotion of regional integration, trade economic partnership agreements, financing of regional development, and other identified priorities, and to work together to implement multilateral agreements.
So I think there is a very strong commitment on the part of the ACP, including our own government, Papua New Guinea, to making progress and making sure we build the right partnerships for the future. The United Nations system looks forward to working with all governments and people to try and make sure that the Sustainable Development Goals are achieved. And I think that is the duty of all of us in leadership positions, but also the duty of our generation to make sure that we leave this world a better place for the next generation of leaders and so on.
The UN Resident Coordinator is happy with several other discussions and outcome from the summit.
Across the world, it's no longer about just richer countries providing aid and assistance to poorer countries. Much more what we're seeing is South-South cooperation between countries which are often have similar situations, are dealing with similar challenges, and also triangular cooperation. So we have, for example, an example of that is the work that we are doing with the Papua New Guinea Parliament, linking in work from other countries, for example from Fiji, from Samoa, the other parts of the Pacific, but also beyond the Pacific, to try and help parliament-to-parliament links, with also this third part, the UN system playing a role in supporting both governments to make those links. So I think the future of South-South cooperation is very important.
The summit has facilitated for other various side meetings, discussions concerning development agendas of the group.
79 countries in total here attending the the ACP leaders meeting. It's good for Papua New Guinea. It's a good promotion for the country as well in terms of tourism. This is a test run for the upcoming APEC meeting in 2018, and I think PNG has done a fantastic job in organizing this meeting, with Papua New Guinea stepping up as a regional leader in the Pacific.
It's a really good thing that Papua New Guinea is hosting this event, because it actually puts us, out there in the spotlight. I mean, we are able to achieve our goals in setting up and in hosting a international event, and not only this international event, but it also promotes a lot of our diversity.
This is one of such international events as PNG prepares for the bigger APEC Leaders Summit in 2018, 2 years from now.
Gabriel Bego reporting there. After the break, a call for Papua New Guinean companies to be considered fairly in road construction contracts.